The vision of the Florida Department of Health is to be the healthiest state in the nation, and the mission is to contributing to a healthier Florida one test at a time. There are many job opportunities in the public health laboratory, from administrative positions and positions related to data entry and collection, and of course all the people that do the day-to-day testing and management of those testing sections in the lab. When we take students on the tour of the lab, we like to bring them to each section and do a bit of a show and tell. We have the supervisor go over what type of testing is being done. In the serology section, we are looking at testing so serological testing is any testing done on blood samples, and so a lot of what we do in this section of the lab is testing for hepatitis, so we're looking at hepatitis A, B and C, and also syphilis testing is done in this section of the lab. And actually, even though not all of the testing in this area is in fact serological testing, they tend to do a large portion of the STD testing here. Our virology lab has been extremely busy in the last few years. They test for a wide range of viruses in this lab, and we've had lots of emerging viruses in the last couple of years. We've had MERS, that's Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. We've had Zika virus that's been in the news. We had the Ebola virus. We actually do still perform viral cultures. We're actually a WHO surveillance site, and we culture influenza virus, and part of this activity in being WHO surveillance sites helps them determine what strains of flu need to be put into next season's influenza vaccine. Another test that's performed in our virology lab is our rabies testing. So we actually test animal heads. We actually test the brains of animals that have potentially bitten and exposed a human to see if they have the rabies virus. And if they do, the person that got the bite or scratch can receive prophylaxis for rabies. So this is a very important test that only the public health laboratory has the capability in Florida to do this test. Basically, the testing we do in the retrovirology section is all HIV testing, and we are doing screening and diagnostic testing for HIV, and we're also able to do some testing that helps with patient management. So we may be looking at viral load, so that's how much viral nucleic acid is in the patient's blood. Our mycobacteriology laboratory that does testing for TB, tuberculosis, is really a state-of-the-art laboratory. We do a lot of tests that have been developed in our own lab, which can really aid in the diagnosis of TB and also determine whether a patient's TB is resistant to certain drugs and how that TB patient can be treated. Florida is in the top 4 states for TB cases, so it really is a public health priority. Our bacteriology section does quite a diverse array of tests for various things. Identification of organisms that can't be identified in the clinical lab. So if a clinical lab is having difficulty identifying something, they can refer that to the public health lab. We also look at some of the organisms that cause meningitis, so strep pneumo, Haemophilus influenza, Neisseria meningitidis, these can all cause meningitis. We also do some food testing in the microbiology lab. So if we have clinical cases, so confirmed cases in humans, and we can associate it with a particular event, maybe a party where there was a food, the food can be collected for us by the epidemiologists, and we can test that food and hopefully find the same organism, and then that can help us link that food item to those infections. The other thing we can do is test water. So we test drinking water and even beach waters, and we're looking for fecal contamination, and that lets us alert people as to whether water is safe to drink or water is safe to bathe in. We do some parasitology testing at the Bureau of Public Health labs. This can be particularly important for confirming malaria cases, but we also look at other parasites, particularly those that are spread by the fecal-oral route. The other thing that the Public Health lab can do is liaise with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta. We actually have a camera that we use in parasitology, which we can share what we are seeing under the microscope camera with CDC, and they can help us make that diagnosis, telediagnosis from a distance. The Public Health Laboratory has an important role to play in bioterrorism defense. Something like Bacillus anthracis, which causes anthrax, or Yersinia pestis that causes plague, or Brucella that causes brucellosis. And so when a clinical lab detects one of these organisms, they just follow a certain protocol, they seal it up, they package it, they ship it to the Public Health Laboratory, and we're able to do confirmatory testing to determine whether this is indeed a bioterrorism agent. We really do play an extremely important role in public health, and hopefully having a look at a little bit of what we do here in the state of Florida, we can encourage people to take an interest in public health laboratory science and maybe consider a career in public health lab science. And we're always investing in workforce development and looking for those students that want to get into this field. So we really encourage students to come to our lab and visit, come for a tour, or maybe come and volunteer or do an internship. So if this is of interest to any students out there, we hope they'll reach out to their local and state public health laboratory and take a visit.